Once upon a time, in the vibrant neighborhood of Aja, Lagos, where ambition collided with hardship and dreams mixed with survival, there lived a woman named Adesua, a 32 years old mother of two, married to Osagi, a humble yet hardworking civil engineer. Adesua used to be the woman other women admired. Smart, beautiful, bank job in Victoria Island, hair always done, nails polished. She was the kind of woman who walked into a room and people adjusted themselves. But life happened. After a second baby came with some health complications, she had to resign from her job. The pressure was too much. Managing work, her baby's fragile health, and hospital visits. Osagi, her husband, suggested she rest and focus on her health and the baby for a while. He promised to hold things down, and he did. Osage wasn't flashy. He didn't post "I love my wife" every week on social media. He didn't take her on random dates or plan surprise getaways, but he was consistent. He showed up, paid bills, changed diapers, never raised his voice. Every month, he did draw up a small family budget and make sure there was still something left for savings. Adesua appreciated him at first, but staying home started to eat at her. The long hours with the kids, the repeated cartoons, the isolation, her mind, once sharp with figures and targets, was now occupied with snacks, laundry, and school runs. To keep herself busy, she opened a small salon close to the house. Nothing big, just wigs, hair care, nail care, and some light makeup services. She enjoyed it, but deep inside, she missed who she used to be and couldn't help the draining comparison that crept in her heart every time her friends uploaded their soft life on Instagram. Her friend Cynthia had just returned from Dubai, sponsored by her boyfriend who owned a shopping company. Tolu just bought a Toyota Venza after joining a Forex affiliate. Another one, Lisa, claimed her husband gave her 1 million just to look pretty. Meanwhile, she was stitching weaves and bargaining over 2K hair service. Adesua looked at herself, head tied in a net, wrapper around her chest, picking up scattered toys while boiling rice. She didn't feel bitter, just tired. Tired of the routine, tired of the gap between her dreams and her current life. Osagi noticed the changes. "You don't laugh like before," he said. She brushed it off. She was tired, yes, but not just from saloon work or motherhood. She was tired of not truly living the life she felt she deserved. One night, while lying in the bed beside her snoring husband, she opened Instagram and stumbled on a video. A woman was speaking, confident, bold, magnetic. It was a viral video of Coach Mirabel. "Dear women, stop living like a shadow of your own story. You are not here to just exist. You are here to thrive." That line stayed with her. She followed the page, then joined the private group, the Evolved Women's Circle. In that group, every post felt like it was speaking to her personally. You are exhausted because you have outgrown your environment. A real man supports your glow up, not just your survival. Don't let your children become the excuse to endure mediocrity. You were not born to manage a man's failure. You are the prize. Walk away from anything that doesn't serve you. It started as motivation, then it became her daily fuel. Each post chipped away at the love and respect Adesua had for her husband. Osage's simple acts of love, like helping the kids with homework or making breakfast on Saturdays, were no longer enough. They were now the bare minimum. She began to pick fights over small things. When he forgot to buy a packet of noodles, she snapped. "Is it so hard to be thoughtful for once? Do you even think about me?" He looked at her, baffled. "You didn't tell me. I shouldn't have to tell you," she shouted back. The quiet hate in her heart was growing, fed by a voice from her phone that promised a life she thought she deserved. 2 days later, Coach Mirabel launched a private mentorship group. 25,000 naira per month for women ready to level up, she said. Adesua didn't tell Osagi she paid from her salon money. Every week, they had Zoom calls on self-worth, financial independence, feminine power. At first, it felt like healing. She started to feel like her old self again, but somewhere along the line, the advice started to change. If it doesn't invest in your dreams, it doesn't deserve your loyalty. You are a queen, not a helper. Don't let love blind you into bondage. No real man allows a woman to struggle. You are in a situationship, not a marriage. The more she listened, the more distant she became. Adesua began comparing everything: Osage's car, his salary, his gifts, his words. Nothing measured up anymore. Her birthday came. Osage bought her a cake, perfume, and a handwritten note. He even got the kids to sing for her. She smiled politely, said thank you, but inside she thought, this is the same thing every year. She didn't feel special. She didn't feel seen. And for the first time, she began to ask herself a dangerous question. Is this really the life I deserve? Adesua's days now followed a new rhythm. Wake up, prepare the kids for school, run the salon, and then spend the quiet evening glued to her phone, devouring Coach Mirabel's content. Her marriage, once grounded in shared goals and small joys, now felt like a burden. The life she once prayed for had become something she wanted to escape. Her husband, Osagi, remained the same man, soft-spoken, dependable, and painfully average. He made breakfast on Saturdays, helped the kids with homework, and kissed her forehead every night. But Hadesua had stopped seeing these as acts of love. They were now bare minimum. A man who truly values you will take you to Zanzibar, not just the kitchen, Mirabel once said in a reel that got over 50,000 likes. Adesua saved that reel, rewatched it, and reflected on it. The tipping point arrived one Sunday after church. They visited Osage's friend's house. The man's wife, Ngozi, was the picture of effortless, elegant. Her skin glowed, her nails were perfectly manicured, and their home was a definition of luxury and expensive furniture. Ngozi spoke of their recent trip to Cape Town, the new car her husband had surprised her with, and a fully funded diploma program she was starting in the UK. Adesua smiled, but her insides were burning in envy. This could be me, she thought, the resentment a bitter taste in her mouth. If only I had married right. On the way back home, she was unusually quiet, and the car was filled with a thick silence. Later that night, as she folded the laundry, she stared at an empty detergent packet. Even detergent is now a luxury in this house. How did my life become this small? How did I get here? Unknown to Adesua, Coach Mirabel's perfectly curated life was the half-truth. Behind the high-rise apartments and money affirmations was a tired, unhappy woman with a husband who cheated, shouted, and once slapped her at a restaurant. But Mirabel never posted that part. She posted flowers, filtered vacations, and happy marriage tips. Her followers were her escape. She weaponized her pain and sold it as empowerment, building her brand on the very despair she lived with every day. And women like Adesua became her audience, hungry, angry, idealistic. Adesua started dropping demands. I need 500,000 naira. I want to rest, go to Abuja for a week, clear my head. Osage, shocked, said, where do I find that kind of money? She is. Of course, you will find money when it's your siblings or your side projects. But when it's me, it suddenly becomes tight for you. The tension grew each passing day. Then came the final blow. Maybe we should separate for now. Let me breathe. Osage looked up from his phone in confusion and hurt. Separate? because I can't afford a trip to Abuja. But Adesua had already built her emotional escape. She meant every word, and when he didn't fight her on it, when he simply sat there looking stunned, she took his silence as weakness. She moved out temporarily to her cousin's flat in Lekki Phase 2. She told everyone she was healing, evolving, and choosing herself. Coach Mirabel celebrated her. You did the right thing, babe. Real queens don't beg to be loved. Watch your glow up. Adesua posted more selfies. Her captions became deeper. Sometimes peace look like solitude. Healing is sexy. God is restoring what I lost in that marriage. Her followers clapped, sent DMs. Queen, you inspire me. But real life wasn't clapping. Rent in Lekki Phase 2 wasn't rent in Naija. Her cousin's patience began to wear thin. Her kids started acting out, crying on the phone, asking when she was coming home. Osage struggled to balance school runs, preparing meals, and work. He never complained, but the stress began to show. One night, her younger son, Clinton, said on the video call, Mommy, Daddy cried yesterday. Did you fight him again? Adesua's throat tightened, but the fear of losing face kept her from going home. She was living for the gram, but her real life was dying a little more each day. The months rolled by. Adesua was now living full-time in her cousin's flat. What was supposed to be a temporary separation had now stretched into months. Her current lifestyle became one she couldn't afford and didn't enjoy. Her salon started losing customers. She hired two girls to manage it while she focused on herself. But they gave no care about the business. One stole from her while the other came to work whenever she liked. Loyal customers stopped coming. Rent was due. NEPA bills were mounting. Still, she couldn't return home, not after the things she had posted online. Her pride was louder than her reality. Then came the day Coach Mirabel slipped. It was a Sunday morning. Coach Mirabel had accidentally gone live on Instagram while trying to upload a pre-recorded video. For 3 minutes and 12 seconds, thousands of her followers watched her screaming at someone in the background. Her husband, the man she never showed. Don't touch my phone. Greg, I said don't touch it. You, this woman, you think because you are a social media celebrity, now you can talk to me anyhow. You are out there deceiving women out of their marriages when you still haven't prepared my dinner. And then a slap, loud and sharp, followed. And just like that, the life cut off. The video trended. Her audience were divided. Some dragged her for hypocrisy. Others defended her. Even strong women go through things. Leave her alone. But Adesua felt betrayed. She watched the clip over and over, her hands trembling. So this is who I followed. This is who I let scatter my home. She sat in silence, her phone on her hands, her life flashing before her eyes. Everything she threw away suddenly looked beautiful again. The Saturday morning pap Osage used to prepare, how he would always back the baby when she was tired, how he cleaned the house sometimes without asking, how he never raised his voice or his hands on her, not once. And now she was in her cousin's guest room with a failing saloon, still borrowing data. The final straw came when she received a call from her son's school. Hello, ma. Please, we have been unable to reach your husband. Your son collapsed today. It may be stress-related or dietary problems, but we need 82,000 naira for the test. Her heart jumped. She tried Osage. His line was off. She rushed to the school in a boat ride she couldn't afford. When she got there, the sight of her son, pale and weak, tore at her heart. And when she looked up, Osage was there already, holding the boy, calmly asking the nurse questions, quietly paying the bills. She had missed his calls. That night, as their son slept, Osage looked at her and said softly, I will stop disturbing you. I have accepted that you want more, but I want you to know I never stopped being your husband, even when you stopped being my wife. He walked away. For the first time in months, she truly wept, not because he had left, but because in that moment, she finally saw what she had so carelessly thrown away. 3 days passed after the hospital incident. Adesua couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. She kept hearing Osage's words on repeat. Her cousin, Uyi, had gotten tired of her moping about. Babe, this is your life. If you want your husband, go and fight for him. All this Instagram coach won't be there for you when real life hits. Adesua knew Uyi was right, but she was ashamed. How do you face the man you dragged online? How do you return to the house you walked out of, claiming you've outgrown him? Still, she showed up. She went home. Osage wasn't there, but Mama Osage, his mother, opened the door and froze. She had come from Auchi a week ago to help with the children while Osage juggled work and home. Ah, you? Mama Osage said flatly. Welcome, oh. So you remember you still have children. Adesua went on her knees, tears already falling down her eyes. Mama, I came to say I am sorry. I didn't know what I was doing. Mama Osage looked at her with tired eyes and said something that struck her soul. You wanted to be a queen outside, forgetting you had a palace inside. She didn't let Adesua in. She told her to come back when Osage was around. You go and explain to him yourself. It is not me you offended. Adesua had waited outside for nearly 3 hours, sitting in her cousin's car nearby, staring at the gate. When he arrived and saw her, his shoulders slumped, not in relief, in exhaustion. What are you doing here, Adesua? She got out of the car and walked up to him slowly. Osage, please, let me talk. He didn't respond. I messed up. I destroyed something that was never broken. I was listening to the wrong people. I chased shadows. I wanted more, but I didn't even know what more looked like. She paused, trembling. I want my family back. I want you back. Osage stared at her. Then finally, he signed. I used to pray for this moment every day, but now I don't know if I still trust you. You didn't just leave, Adesua. You left loudly. You humiliated me. You posted things that made people think I was the enemy. He turned to go inside, then stopped and added, You can't walk away from a fire and expect the house to be waiting. Sometimes it's just ashes. He closed the gate and for the first time locked it. Adesua didn't go back to her cousin's place. She slept in the car that night. The next morning, she went to her children's school and waited outside the gate until break time just to see their faces. When her children saw her, they ran towards her and hugged her. It broke her heart that they have to meet like strangers now. The online world she had clung to was gone. Coach Mirabel had vanished, her brand destroyed by the same followers who had once hyped her. Adesua finally understood the devastating truth. The internet doesn't care about your real life. It just wants content, and she had been nothing more than content. It took Adesua 3 weeks to rent a small room near her salon. She reopened her salon, posted an apology video on her page, a real one, not for clout, for closure. She started showing up at the children's PTA meetings. She sent food to the house even though she never entered it. Sometimes Osage accepted, sometimes he didn't. Sometimes she saw the children, sometimes she didn't. But she showed up consistently, humbly, and quietly. A year passed, a full year of Adesua living in the quiet reality of her choices. She never forced anything. She didn't beg Osagi again, not directly. Instead, she showed it through her actions. She was always there for her children's birthday parties, school events, and small family needs. She poured her pain into her salon. It became something bigger. She rebranded it with a new name, the place of second chances. Customers started coming in, not just for her services, but for advice. Her story, which once brought shame, now brought healing to other women. She hosted Saturday gatherings in her salon for young wives in the community, not to preach, but to share her scars. Don't let strangers on the internet define your marriage, she'll tell them. Don't leave your home because you envy someone else's filtered life. Not every woman who tells you to walk out of your marriage is telling you the truth about her own. No marriage is perfect. How you weather the storms is what matters. She talked about envy. She talked about discontent. She talked about being blind to blessings. And slowly, Adesua was healing, even though her home was still broken. One Saturday afternoon, a familiar face walked into the salon. It was Coach Mirabel, the same Coach Mirabel whose Instagram videos had once influenced thousands of women, including Adesua, to demand more and never settle for less. She looked nothing like the elegant coach from before. Her designer bag looked cheap. Her face was pale. Her nails were chipped, and a poorly hidden bruise marked her neck. Adesua was stunned. Mirabel looked at her, eyes wild with guilt. I heard about your salon, she whispered, avoiding eye contact. I came because I don't know where else to go. Adesua couldn't believe it. The woman who once told her to leave her husband was now running from hers. I thought you said we shouldn't manage men, Adesua said softly. Mirabel broke down in tears. I lied, Adesua. My marriage was never perfect. I said all those things online to sell programs and build my brand. But at home, I was the one enduring emotional and physical abuse. I couldn't leave because I had no identity outside him. And I watched women like you walk away from good men because of the lies I told. I am sorry. Adesua stood there in disbelief, watching the same woman who once carried arrogance like perfume, now reduced to fragments. And that day, she realized social media was only a highlight reel. Weeks later, Osagi walked into the salon unexpectedly. Adesua was braiding a customer's hair. Her hands trembled slightly when she saw him. He looked healthy, calm. The children had been spending weekends with her more often, and they talked about how their daddy always asked about her, even though he didn't say it to her face. He waited till she finished. Then he said, can we start again? Not from the top, just from where we stopped. Adesua's eyes filled with tears. She had no dramatic words, no performance, just a quiet nod. And that day, they drove home together, not into a perfect marriage, but into a humble one, rebuilt on truth, maturity, and understanding of what truly matters. Real love is not found on Facebook Reels or Instagram stories. It is built in the slow, messy, patient trenches of real life. Be careful who you listen to. Not every woman with a ring light is living in the light, and not every man you think is the problem is truly the villain. Sometimes the biggest enemy of our home is the voice you have allowed to take root in your head. Subscribe to Folktales by Unique for more true African and Nigerian stories that teach and shock.